Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing today?
Hey. Mm.
We hear all four of us together. It's so nice. I really like that. So we would like to talk about self-expression. I mean, for transgender people, self-expression is something very important. And for me, I mean, I'll come more to this theme, but for me, it gives a lot of, self-awareness as well. So it's kind of interesting.
Mhm.
So who wants to go first?
I would say let Raji go because she's got to leave for.
Okay.
Okay.
Raji,
Oh,
go.
sure. Yeah, I'm heading to an event, so I have to leave a little early. But self-expression, wow. I think that is like the beauty of our world. The self-expression of people. I remember when I was a little kid, and I might have shared this story before. My mom said to me, and I think I had come home and I was talking about how the kids were picking on me and talking about like how I looked different from them because I looked, based on where I went to school, I looked pretty different from the other kids. And so my mom said to me, she says, "Well, let me ask you a question. If you had a garden, would you want a garden with all one type of flower? Or would you want the garden with all sorts of flowers, like a variety of flowers?" And I was like probably in like third grade. And I said to her, I said, "Well, I want the garden with all sorts of flowers because it would be more colorful and more beautiful." And she reminded me of that story recently because I had completely forgot about it. So I think that the challenge for a lot of people is to be able to be confident enough to express themselves, to be who they are and to express themselves the way they feel, the way they want to. Because a lot of times, although the beauty of the world is the diversity of the world and all of our unique self-expression, um, people want try to force you to be in boxes. You know, the cookie cutter, like you must act a certain way and look a certain way and, go to a certain church and et cetera, et cetera. And so I think it's one of our biggest challenges as human beings on the planet. But I also think that when you master it, there is such
Oops.
it's when you're living your most optimal life, like your optimal self. And so that's what I'll start with, and I'll throw it back to Ella.
Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. By the way, you had a little bit of a small technical issue.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I'm on my phone today.
Okay.
So yeah.
Bobby, would you like to go next?
Sure. And thank you for watching. I noticed today that we got the 69,000 subscribers, and I'm that's just so gratifying and impressive, and it really encourages me. And thank you, and keep subscribing and telling your friends about it because we really do try to generate content that has some value to you. And one of the reasons that self-expression is so um, much top of mind right now is a friend recently sent me a quote from Jim Carrey, the actor. And if you followed Jim Carrey's career, he was kind of played a buffoon kind of character in the beginning, and then he got more and more serious, and then he made all the money he ever dreamed of, and then realized that that wasn't fulfilling him. So he's gotten very interesting. And one of the things that he said recently that caught my attention was that the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's expression. And that really resonated with me when I first listened to depression, expression. And and I was thinking, I think I can run with that. But because um, when you're lost in depression, there's all kinds of things that are going on there. And one of the things that I realized about myself is that, and I've said it a few times, we are like our body is like a spacesuit. It is full of pure creative energy. That's what we were given uh, when we were placed on this planet, is just this body that's full of pure creative energy to create the reality that we would like to live in. The only trouble is it kind of takes some people a really long time to figure out that we have that power all along. And so when it comes to being trans and thinking about self-expression and that motivation to do that, and depending on how you grew up, and I know so many people come from like trauma backgrounds and non-supportive kind of backgrounds. You had a really hard time trying to come to terms with who you are and what you're going to do about that. And I have too. I want to really make that clear. And I look at self-expression as something that's really honest and honorable and sacred in a way, because it has to do with decisions with who am I? Why am I here? What was I created for? What's my purpose? And when you're out of alignment with that, like living a fake life, living the life like Raji mentioned, that where you're supposed to be in a box and you're supposed to stay in a box. And it was like, you know, the day you were born, some stranger in the delivery room said, I'm going to sign this one male, I'm going to sign this one female, and they're going to stay in that box as long as they live. It was, well, nobody asked me about that. And and so when it came to self-expression and that desire to, it was like living a fake life, living a life that really wasn't expressing who I am, was really hard and killing me, and setting up a lot of dissonance. Really, when you think about the quantum energies that we live in, living a fake life, uh, expressing who you are dishonestly, well, that's always going to keep you in a state of dissonance. It's like, and it takes a lot of work to sustain that stuff. And at least for me, it was just wearing me out. It was literally shortening my life. And it's like, okay, this is going to take a lot of courage, but that accusation, like, how could you be so selfish to want to do this? It's like, no, I'm just really devoted to my best, highest interest. It's like, I can't live like this anymore. And so I've got to start doing this. And it really wasn't selfish at all. It was really an acknowledgement that I'm not here. I was not placed on this planet to fulfill your expectations to live in a way that makes you comfortable, because that's making me very uncomfortable to live like that. And so there really wasn't anything selfish about it. The selfishness was me robbing the world of who I was created to be and living in dissonance with all of that, where my task is to become real and to come into alignment and have my energy, the energy of my true being, matching the energy of the world I want to live in. And so when I think about self-actualization, it's really a declaration of, this is who I am and this is the world I'm claiming. This is who I want to be, and I'm not apologizing. I'm not asking permission or anything like that. It's like, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to live, and um, it makes me happy. It makes me fulfilled, and it inspires some people. And some people still think that, oh, that was just really selfish, and I don't want to know you anymore. Okay, I've still got it. I've got to be true to myself. So, back to you, Ella.
Thank you. Jimmy, your turn, girl.
Yes, ma'am. So, hey, everyone. Raji, good to see you. And I'm also, so I do every one of these podcasts from my car also. But I got Ella set up the
Okay.
trans flag background, which I think is good. So you can't really tell that I'm in a car.
Yeah.
And I got a little ring light that I set up on the steering column. It works out pretty good. So
It does. It does.
self expression for a trans person, we modify our appearance so that the outside matches the inside. It's about as simple as that.
Mhm.
And in today's world, there's a lot of options available to us. And the idea is to achieve a sense of congruence where the mind, body, and spirit are all in alignment. And I know in my life, I've always had a very unique way that I appear, behave, communicate with folks, engage the world, and I've just taken it to the next level where I feel like I'm home. And I will tell you this: it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for a
It
person to achieve optimum optimum potential. It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and the effort reward ratio is off the chart.
Yeah.
The the uh, the existence uh, to to acknowledge the fact that I'm a transgender person and then take action to actualize my soul, myself, to my potential. It's a lot of work, but it's extremely fulfilling. Extremely, there's just a sense of like I'm home. And the level that I live my life, as far as fitness, spiritual acuity, awareness, uh, it requires a lot of work in the gym, diet decisions in the kitchen, my spiritual practice, giving back to the community, like participating in these podcasts here. It's very rewarding, and I think Ella or Bobby was talking about this. By virtue of us being us, subconsciously give others permission to do the same. Someone's got to break the mold. Someone's got to be the first one to do this. But we've had many predecessors to where we're at right now, and our fellow trans folks that have come and gone blazed the trail for us to be here now. So I think for us to be us is an honor, is a tribute to their existence. And Ella, no,
Yeah.
I get emotional when I talk about this.
Yeah. You have all the right to. Okay. Why do I think that self-expression is such an important thing? And by the way, this is not only for transgender people, but I think that transgender people are very much in the middle of it because when you have, in order to explore self-expression, you have to explore your identity as a person. That's why for us it's so difficult to get this, and the difficulty and the work that we have to put into it is very enormous because we are exploring ourselves. We are actually going inside ourselves and trying to find who are you? This is the first part. And then afterwards, how do you want to communicate that? How do you want to bring that out? How do you want to bring it with artistry? Because for many artists, they've got exactly the same thing as we do. With words, with actions. How do you want to? But you know what? As Jimmy and my fellow gurus were saying, it's so freaking rewarding. It really is rewarding. Why? It's everything to do with your self-confidence. When you found yourself, and sometimes it takes a long time. And for us, I think it's more complicated than for many other people because many of us are going against the grain. We are going against everybody which tells us you should not do that. That is why it's so complicated for us to do that. But I mean, it's not only self-expression is not confined only to transgender people. It's everybody in the planet. Just some people have got more difficult than others. I mean, I know a hell of a lot of people which are not transgender, but they are gay. But they come from countries which are where being gay is probably punished by that, like
Yes.
Saudi Arabia and so on.
Uganda?
And they can still live their lives as they want to. They can still do it. It takes a hell of a lot of courage. It really does. But the feeling that they are living exactly how they want to live is really quite incredible. But it's always a question of confidence, self-awareness, finding yourself, finding your inner word, because this is what we always are talking about, is finding your inner self and trying to live it. This is the most important thing in life. I mean, from my viewpoint, it really is one of the most important things in life. Being us, being me, leaving me. And for transgender people, it's very interesting. For example, for transgender women, a woman usually has got a mother which tells how to become a woman, how to do things like a woman. Transgender people don't have that. I mean, some of them do, but more in the let's say with new times. Transgender people have to find that by themselves. They might have a friend, they might have someone in the family which helped them, but there is not this kind of education how to become a lady. You have to become your lady by your own. And you have to find by your own. And that is a form of self-expression, and everybody's got their own self-expression. We actually go miles and miles to express ourselves, to find our self-expression. And I do believe that Jim is completely right, and honor for every single person which did the same thing before us. We are honoring them. And we've always been around. Transgender people always been around. So it's a very long list of people. Anyway, with those words, I pass to the group. So we all here.
In my experience, not one person on the planet ever told me not to be me. I think it was my father was the only person who said, "Are you sure?" And that was it. And I think the more we believe in ourselves and then trust our internal compass, the more trust we have in our internal compass, the more belief we'll have, the clearer the path will be. When we begin to doubt ourselves or we listen to other people, that the naysayers, you can begin to develop self-doubt, and then that's a bad rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Once you make your decision, you're committed to your path, don't look back. There is no plan B.
No, go further. But you know, not. I mean, I'm talking from my experience when I was young and I knew that I wanted to be a girl. Oh my God, that was the whole hell loose. It was in the 60s and no acceptance whatsoever.
Mhm. Yeah.
You-
You know,
I don't know
oh,
if you can you all hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just say this because I'm going to have to go soon. So self-expression to me is not only physical, it's the way we speak, like, the words that we say, the way we write, the way that we, uh, walk and express ourselves just through our actions, our movement. So it's so many different levels and areas of self-expression. But in regard to the physical, RuPaul said, and I'm going to quote RuPaul. Well, yeah, I don't know if I have it exactly right, but I'm going to try to quote RuPaul. Everybody has a drag. And when people look at us trans people or drag queens, they look at us as like being in costume or dressed up a lot of the time. But the reality is everyone has a drag. Even the alpha male that gets up in the morning decides whether he wants to have a mustache or a beard, or if he wants to be clean shaven, whether he wants to wear the baseball cap and the sports gear, or he wants to present himself in a suit. So we all do it. We all do it. We all have the way that we want to present ourselves to the world physically. And this isn't something just today. You can look at the tribes, like back, like for instance in Africa, the different marks that they put on their bodies, and the different colors that they wear, and costumes and all. It's self-expression.
Yes.
So yeah, so I just wanted to say that before I have to go. And I want to also wish everyone happy Pride, because it's Pride Month, and
yes.
it's a busy month for us. There's a lot of events and stuff going on, but this is the time that we declare as LGBTQ people that, we can stand up and hold our heads up high and be proud of who we are. A lot of us, because of the way the messages that we were giving when we were little, like, what you are is wrong, or what you feel is wrong, from our families, from our community, from the world. But this is an empowering time for us. And hopefully, like, it carries through the entire year. I love Pride, the Pride festivals, because I remember Jimmy was in the parade some years back, and I'm talking about Pride Festival, and I got the picture of you in the parade, um, and it's the day that I feel that we in our community really have this unified spirit, and we really do feel proud of who we are. We're not ashamed. We're not holding our heads down. We're holding our heads high. And so it's a very empowering time for us. So on that note, I want to say love, peace, and blessings. And I'll probably stay on for a few more minutes, but then I'll check out.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Bobby.
yeah. Oh, guys, I'm really enjoying what everybody says, and you're just triggering so many things. The time period when I was growing up in Ella too, um, the matrix that we live in the West is really imposed on us by colonizer Christianity. Really, is where all of those gender roles and norms and boxes come from. And uh, when I was for generations up to and including the time where I was born, the prevailing wisdom in the medical and mental health community is we have got to change your mind to match your body. There, you are just so out of whack. And so there's all this conversion therapy and all this other kinds of stuff where we were uh, just really kind of traumatized. Like, we have got to change your mind to match your body, and that was the way it was forever until it just started trickling and opening up into the medical and the psychological community, where beginning in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was becoming more and more obvious. It's like, this isn't working. We cannot change their mind to match their bodies. I got a great idea. Why don't we change their bodies to match their minds? And that is where all of the glorious accomplishments and happiness and self actualization, um, self expression, that's where it all started coming in. It's like, yes, yes, we stop trying to change my mind to match my body. I'm going to change my body to match my mind. And Jimmy alluded to that. And that was just a glorious development. And 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 the point that I'm getting to is that self-expression, like that, when you have that freedom to finally start matching your body, matching your name, matching your pronouns, matching your clothing, matching your behavior, uh, all of that, that starts putting you into the vibration, the frequency, to fulfill your purpose here, why you were created. It and you've all mentioned it. It's like it feels right. It's like life starting to flow back in your body, because living this fake life was killing me. It really was. It was taking years off of my life. I know that for a fact. That my numbers were just slowly sinking, and now they're not. They're better than they've ever been, and I'm really grateful for that. And so, um, that self-expression, is just, now we exist in the universe at the frequency that we were really created to be living at. And that is the world and the life and everything that we are attracting. And we shouldn't be surprised that we're happier and healthier and living a more abundant life than ever. And oh, just real quickly, this is totally changing the subject, but um, Ella was telling me about, she's taking a trip to India next week for a big grand opening and a celebration, and was mentioning the saris that you'll be wearing. And I was thinking, in the Hindu culture, oh my gosh, what a rite of passage that is, that they accept you into that world. And most people don't realize, when you're getting dressed in a sari, that's a big deal. You have to have some help. And people draping it, and it's so colorful. But I just, that is such a rite of passage to me, that you've been, that's not the first time that's happened to you either, Ella. I know that. And so I just, to just see how different parts of the world embrace who you are, and they support it, and they welcome you, and they assist you, and they celebrate you. And I just think that is just such a tribute to your self-expression and your acceptance, and how that is really just a rite of passage, that
Yeah.
you have people draping your sari for you.
Yeah, it is so complicated to drape saris, I tell you. I
No.
learned that even the Indian girls, and they are really Indian, but they get outside drapers because it's so complicated. So someone which comes to your house and puts his sari for you. Of course, it's the rich people which do that, but but it's really quite incredible. And I have to say that in that respect, I've been privileged and
Yes.
extremely privileged on my experience of the world. And I have to say too, transgender people in India is a very interesting combination. The issue of transgender people in India is very, very long. They used to be the Indras. And they've been there not for hundreds, for thousands of years. And when the British came to India, they saw, of course, with their culture of extreme evangelical and Anglican views, they told that the Indras were forbidden. They actually started to incarcerate Indra people because they were transgender. And they didn't agree with it. Of course, they didn't stop the Indras because it always existed and it will always exist. They were doing it in, hiding. And the tradition continued. And about 6 or 7 years ago, the government of England of India officially said that the Indras are not a threat to people, and they are what you call that. They are welcome in the civilization. And they introduced in the passport a transgender marker, which is really quite interesting. But the amount of transgender people in India is pretty big. But okay, that is something else. But as for my self-expression with the Indian, I've been going to India for over 40 years on a regular basis. I know that country pretty well. I know the people, and even my skin tone gives me a little bit of being an Indian too. One of the not so dark Indians, but it's been it's really quite interesting. It's a really incredible country. They say incredible India, and it is true. It's incredible India from all the sides, from the top beautiful luxury to the most difficult poverty. And I do find the Hindu religion a very interesting religion. Not that I am an active Hindu, but I found a very interesting religion. I really do. Anyway, it's self-expression as well.
No, they love you. They love you.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
coming up on 40 minutes, Ella.
Yeah, let's go make the last round, please. Jimmy, you go.
All right, so this is how I look at it. We are always going to be as long as we consider other people's opinions, we will always be their slave.
Yeah.
Everything that we desire is on the other side of fear. And the courage that Ella was talking about for a transgender person to express ourselves, yeah, there's going to be some periods of discomfort.
Yeah.
That feeling of discomfort is growing pains, because our future self exists outside of our current comfort zone. We have to grow to meet our future self. And as long as we care about what other people think of us, our hands are going to be tied.
Yeah.
You got to be bold and trust that's why the power of belief, the the trust we have in our internal compass, the more we trust our intuition, our gut, that's another word for an internal compass, the more sure of ourselves we'll be. As soon as you start guessing, doubting yourself, or questioning your intuition, that's when the real difficulty begins.
Yeah.
You have to trust yourself to the point that you ignore the naysayers and don't care. You'll see that. I know in my experience as a trans person, I'm 6'1", 180 pounds. I'm very visible. Everywhere I go, I own where I go. And it always hasn't been that way. You have to grow into yourself and be patient. Be patient with yourself. Start with baby steps. You know, I use this as an example. My daughter, in kindergarten, it was a very small building. Elementary school, it was a bigger building. High school, it was a city block. College, it was a town. So
Hmm.
we grow exponentially. You start off as a kid riding your bike down the street, then you go around the block, then you drive your car downtown, then you leave the state, then you travel the country, then you travel the world, and soon you'll travel the universe. Acknowledge the steps of our life and be patient with yourself and always be true to yourself. And I love you all.
Oh,
Bobby, your turn.
no, it's so good. Self-expression is not just creating something new and different, just to be creating something new and different. And it's not that at all. Jimmy talks about it a lot about we're existing in this ocean of electromagnetic energy, and uses the analogy that it's like existing in a whole bunch of radio station frequencies, and what station do you want to tune in, and to raise your vibration to match that. And there's some really good worlds that we can tune into, and there's some really dark worlds that we can tune into, but we have that within us to decide what frequency we want to tune into. And so when I do that, I am not violating any standards. I'm not trying to create something that I'm not. I am trying to tune myself into who I was meant to be, and to live in that world. And so, I've finally gotten there. I'm totally unrecognizable from where I started a long time ago, but this is who I am. This is what happens when you start tuning into those frequencies of self-expression and honesty and honor. And that's why I feel like it's a very sacred topic, because it all has to do with coming into who you are created to be. And that's the only way that you can really have the positive influence on your world that you're meant to have, is to be your true and authentic self. And so um, uh, everybody's right. It's not easy. It takes a lot of courage. There will be a lot of trial and error learning, that's for sure. But my goodness, what a good decision! And the main point is that I, I just I'm happy to be in this world. I'm living in the world I wanted to live in, except for a few little legislative things that we're working on changing. But we'll have it back to the way it was before you know it. So, anyhow, back to you, Ella.
Okay. Yeah, self-expression is yeah, as you tell, it's not about creating a new world, it's just to find the one that exists within you, which is the
Yes.
most important thing. Okay, with these words, and I think we're gonna stop for today. Thank you very, very, very much, because I think we're going to get into another milestone very soon, into a very big milestone at SS Trans Gurus. It's growing everything that way, and thank you for subscribing, and thank you for listening to us. And with those words, bye everybody. See
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
Namaste. Namaste.
Bye. Bye everybody.